According to the World Risk Report of 2018, the Philippines is the third most vulnerable country to disasters. In 2020 alone, there were more than 30,000 earthquakes recorded in our country. 9 of them, having a magnitude greater than 6, were considered strong earthquakes. The eruption of the Taal volcano in the second week of that year displaced at least 30,000 people. In addition, in that same year, 19 storms hit the country, one of which was categorized as Category 5 super typhoon. This is why I believe every Filipino household should have a natural disaster survival plan. Having experienced severe flooding brought upon by Typhoon Ondoy and Ulysses and by the Habagat season, I have realized the importance of a concrete survival plan in making us ready for disasters. As reported by the Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery in 2017, at least 60% of the country's total land area is exposed to multiple hazards, and 74% of the population is susceptible to their impact. The Harvard Humanitarian Initiative Disaster Net Philippines found in their study, also in 2017, that only 36% of Filipino households are fully prepared for disasters. Let us look at the facts as to why the Philippines is a disaster-prone country and what we can do to lessen the impacts of these dangers. If you are living in the Philippines, disasters are inevitable. Due to our country's geographical location, it is vulnerable to almost all natural hazards. Our country is situated in the Pacific Ring of Fire, making it vulnerable to frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. This region along the Pacific is where about 80% of the world's earthquakes occur, according to the United States Geological Survey. PHIVOLTS records an average of 20 earthquakes a day. They also listed more than 300 volcanoes scattered across the country, and at least 24 of them are considered active. We are one of the most at-risk countries when it comes to volcanic eruptions. Furthermore, the Philippines is located along the typhoon belt in the Pacific. The country is hit by an average of 20 typhoons every year, with almost half of them making landfall and 5 of which are destructive. These are the most common natural hazard that we Filipinos face. They are the major contributors to disaster damage and have caused massive losses of life and property. According to a study made in 2018, hydrometeorological hazards such as typhoons and floods accounted for over 80% of the natural disasters in the country during the last half century. We are the most exposed country in the world to tropical storms, as stated in an article by Time magazine in 2013. The Philippines is also one of the most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. As the world gets warmer, the sea level rises, and as a result, we are experiencing more frequent and stronger typhoons, causing severe flooding, intensified storm surges, and landslides. For 7 years, the Philippines ranked among the top 10 countries worldwide most affected by extreme weather conditions from 1990 to 2018, as stated in the Global Climate Risk Index of 2011 to 2020. We are the second among the countries most affected by climate change based on the latest report. Over the past decades, we have not only proven our country's vulnerability to these deadly hazards, but also experienced the escalating effects of climate change. We have seen a significant increase in intensity and frequency of extreme weather events, and it is expected to increase even further in the years to come. Because of the Philippines' geographical location and the effects of climate change, our country is prone to a wide array of natural disasters, and they can strike at any given moment. Fortunately, although we cannot prevent a disaster from occurring, we can prepare for it. That is why having a natural disaster survival plan is very important, and every Filipino household should have it. A disaster survival plan can make us prepared. Having a disaster survival plan is a crucial step in ensuring your household is prepared to survive during natural disasters. It can reduce fear and anxiety since it increases our chance of survival. If not to entirely avoid danger, Being prepared will reduce the impact of a natural disaster and make us more capable of dealing with these situations. And this sense of preparedness will become the foundation of our resiliency and help us recover. Most importantly, a disaster survival plan can save lives, ours and our loved ones. Not only a carefully crafted survival plan can protect our home and properties, but it can also save our family. The plan will tell us what to expect, what we should have, and what to do before, during, and after in case of natural disasters. This will help us not to panic and be calm during these events. In summary, the Philippines is at the top of the list when it comes to experiencing natural disasters: earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, typhoons, storm surges, landslides, and floods. We are vulnerable to almost all of them. Clearly, there is nothing we can do about our country's location on the globe. And while we see global efforts in reversing the effects of climate change, we will continue to experience extreme weather events. Natural disasters are naturally occurring phenomena. They are inevitable, and we can never prevent them. But we can prepare for them. Now more than ever, the Filipinos should be aware of the importance of preparedness for natural disasters. And having a natural disaster survival plan is a big step in making sure you and your family can cope with the impacts of these natural hazards.